Hey everyone, thanks for checking out the monthly unpacking video. Got a bunch of new figures in the mail and I just want to get right into this box and see what we got. Going to be mostly, Chogokin and robot spirits, but let's get right into it. Just as a quick reminder, these videos kind of serve as like a preview of what's to come. The main videos on this channel are unboxings. And if there's a figure that you see here that you want to see unboxed sooner than later, leave a comment or something like that and I'll try to work it into the schedule. I have a bit of a backlog right now, so I'm trying to work my way through it. So it could be a little bit before we see some of these figures opened up. And we won't do any actual unboxings today. Just kind of see what's here, lay of the land. Let's here. Alright, so first off we have the Robot Spirits Shining Gundam. I talked a little bit about G Gundam when we looked at the Master Gundam and the Funsaki. This is the Gundam that's piloted by the protagonist of the show. As you can see, it kind of looks more like the traditional Gundam. It has some pretty cool effects parts. You can see right here it's got this like green hand for its special ability, the Shining Finger, and it is the Shining Gundam. So definitely looking forward to checking that one out at some point. All right, this is the Crossbone Gundam X3. As I believe I mentioned in an earlier video, there's I think 4 different Crossbone Gundams in the Robot Spirits lines, X0, 1, 2, and 3. There are multiple versions of all of them. I believe that this is the first version of the X3. They did release an updated version a few years after this one. I think this one's probably from, does it have the date on here? Yeah, this one's from 2010, so pretty old. I believe that this one has some weapons that the newer figure doesn't have, but the newer figure has better detailing. I have both, so I'll probably take a look at those together, maybe do like a little bit of a compare and contrast, see if it's worth upgrading. Okay. So this is the counterpart Gundam to the Shining Gundam. This is the God Gundam. As is pretty typical in a Gundam show, the main character usually starts off with one mobile suit and again upgrades later on. So Shining Gundam was the first one, and then God Gundam was what you got later on. This one's got a lot of cool effects parts as well. And in the first unpacking, actually, I opened up the option set for him that has a bunch of like punches and kicks and other stuff, so we'll definitely take a look at those together and kind of check out some cool poses. There's actually not that many G Gundam figures in the Robot Spirit line. There's these 2, Master, Funsaki, and I think there's 2 alternate color ones. There's like two gold colored ones, so not a ton of G Gundam. I hope that they eventually kind of revisit G Gundam, because there's some pretty ridiculous Gundams in that show. I think most specifically the Gundam that has a set of maracas as a weapon and a sombrero. This is the Banshee Norn. I believe this is the Awakened edition. Oh yeah, the final battle version. So Gundam Unicorn basically has like 2 main Gundams in it. There's the Gundam Unicorn, and then there's the Banshee, which is basically just the Gundam Unicorn in black. The styling is a little different. So they've made like a bazillion different versions of every different one. The Banshee was the original version, and then later on in the show it gets upgraded to the Banshee Norn, which I believe externally looks basically the same, but might operate slightly differently because there is a different pilot. This is the final battle version. As you can see, the armor kind of has this blue, sorry, I got it backwards here, this blue lining. I don't want to get into too much detail as to why that happens. It could be considered a spoiler, but it's one of its modes. And I'll get into more detail about the different Banshees and the different versions of the Banshees when we do the unboxing. I think this is the only version of the Banshee that I have right now, but I might try to get 1 or 2 more when we do the unboxing. So I had mentioned that there are two versions of the Unicorn and the Banshee. There is sort of technically a third version, which is the Phoenix. The Phoenix was not actually featured in Gundam Unicorn. It was featured in the follow-up to Gundam Unicorn, Gundam Narrative. But before Gundam Narrative was animated, there was a video that took place way after Gundam Unicorn, where someone basically, again, I don't want to get too much into spoilers. Well, it's not really a spoiler because it really didn't have anything to do with the show. They did an OVA, it was just sort of part of like a more general Gundam promotion that just had different suits from different series in it. So that was the first time that the Phoenix was animated. It took place, I think like hundreds and hundreds of years after Unicorn, so it's technically a different version of it. So this one, the regular Phoenix is gold. This one is more of like a silver. I thought it looked just really cool with the silver, and it has kind of the red armor lining, which is something called NTD mode, which saying what NTD mode is would be a spoiler, so I will not say what it is. But basically, it's just a more powerful form of the Gundam. We could leave it at that for now. Maybe do a spoiler version of it later on. And you could actually see that this one is tagged with Gundam Gian Reconquista, because that was what the promotional video was associated with that Gundam, not with Gundam Narrative. I think a year or two after this version, they did make a narrative one that was the proper gold color, but I believe this is the only kind of silver one. Oh, okay. So in an earlier video, we had looked at the Gundam Narrative version of the Dija, which was entirely black. This is the Zeta Gundam version, which I think the old black one looked cool as well, but I don't know, teal's like my favorite color. And this is just such a unique color scheme for a Gundam. This is the one that was featured in Zeta Gundam. These are both this one and the other one that I haven't actually unboxed yet. I may just do the unboxings together because the figures are so similar. I think they're mostly just a different color scheme. They might have slightly different weapons. And this is from the Ka Signature line. If you remember, the Super Gundam and the Double Zeta Gundam that we opened up were also from the Ka Signature line, and I absolutely adored them. The Ka Signature line is right now possibly my favorite of the robot spirits. I think I need to open up a few more metal robot spirits before I can make that determination final, but suffice to say I'm really looking forward to opening this up. This is the Gundam Theodora. This is from Crossbone, which we've talked about. Usually like every one of these boxes has like a Crossbone figure. Again, I don't want to get into too many spoilers about the show. This is just one of the main characters. This is her mobile. This is her. I don't think they didn't actually call them mobile suits in the show. This is her unit, and this is kind of like its final form. As you can see, it has this kind of like cool green lining and stuff like that. And like the other figures from this line, it has like a transformation mode where it kind of has like the bike form, and then it has the mobile suit form. Okay, this is the I forgot that I got this. This is the S Gundam option parts. So I don't actually own this figure yet, but they had a pretty good deal on the option parts for it. This is from a side story manga called Gundam Sentinel, which I believe takes place slightly after Zeta Gundam, or maybe somewhat simultaneously. It's a manga that I don't believe has come out in English. I'm sort of vaguely familiar with the plot, but there is a lot of Ka Signature figures that have come from that line, and since I love Ka Signature, and this is actually a Ka Signature and Metal Robot Spirit, so it's sort of like my two favorite lines together. Hopefully I will pick up the actual Gundam that it connects to soon, and do an unboxing, and maybe I'll do a little bit of reading up on Gundam Sentinel and do a bit of a primer on it, because I'm not super familiar with it. But I know that it has a lot of really cool mobile suits, like the EX Gundam, the Mark V, and a few others. So usually every one of my unboxings Usually whenever I place like a big order like this, there's usually kind of like one key figure that I kind of place the whole order around, which is like, okay, well, I'm definitely getting that, and I guess since I've already placed an order, I might as well buy these other ones. So this next one is the one that is the main figure from the order. It is humongous, and I actually am going to need to clear a little bit of space over here just so that I can get to it. Okay. Not quite sure I'm going to get this out of the box at this angle. All right. So this is flip it around. Oh, no, I had it the right side. I had it the right way. Is that the right way? Actually, let me do. Oh, okay, here we go. Here's a better one. So this is the MSN04 Nightingale. This has not actually been animated. So Char's Counterattack, which is kind of one of the most famous Gundam movies, the plot of it was originally going to be a little bit different, and the original script was turned into a novel called Beltorchica's Children. There are some plot differences. I don't think any of them super changed the plot of the movie. I've not actually read I've not read the novel, but I've kind of read up on it. But one of the major differences is that both Char and Amuro pilot different mobile suits, and Char, instead of piloting the Sazabi, which is what he pilots in Char's Counterattack, instead pilots the Nightingale, which is this like giant, just this giant thing. You could see some of the accessories. This thing is just like packed to the brim with funnels. And what was actually interesting about this figure is that there are funnel effects parts that work with this figure but actually come with a different figure. So I'm not 100% sure I'm going to deal with that. I do have the other figure, but the funnel effect parts are really cool. It's like I almost want to buy a second one just so that I can have more funnel effects for this. But you know, we'll play around with different poses. We'll see which one looks cool, see which one looks the best, and that will go on my shelf. I really hope that I get an opportunity to open this soon because this thing is humongous. I'm not sure where I'm going to put it, but I really want to see what it looks like. This is one of the heavy paint, one of the heavy paint specifications. And I'm not 100% sure what that means. It definitely means that they're a lot more expensive than a regular robot. I think there's only like 2 or 3 that are in the heavy specifications, sort of the heavy paint specification subline. So that's one of the other reasons why I'm just like very interested to see what this figure is like, and to see if it's kind of worth the significant premium that they charge over regular figures, and to see if I should also pick up the other ones in the line. So just to do a quick summary before we end the video here, so we have the Nightingale. I'm going to put this on the side because it's just taking up too much room. We have the Dija from Zeta Gundam. We have the S Gundam option parts set from Gundam Sentinel. We have the Banshee Norn final battle version from Gundam Unicorn. We have the God Gundam and the Shining Gundam from G Gundam. We have, oops, it's over here. We have the Gundam X3 from Crossbone Gundam. We have the Phoenix Gundam from the Gian Reconquista kind of promotional OVA, but also from Gundam Narrative. And then we have the Theodora from Crossange. Again, like I said, you know, this is just sort of like a preview of what's to come. If there's something here that looks particularly interesting, tell me about it. If there's something you want to see me open or something you want to see compared or posed or whatever, let me know. I'll try to do a video of it, usually pretty possible. Please check out some of the other videos. Do have a lot of unboxings and have some reviews of some of the Gundam movies on the channel. New videos go up every Wednesday, and I try to do one of these unpacking videos about once a month, just again to kind of see what's coming up, and to give everyone an opportunity to maybe get involved in deciding what I open. Thanks so much, and keep collecting.